Yeah, well, we're doing our best to respond to both of those. The cost of living crisis is a huge issue right across the country, of course, globally as well. We're doing lots of work in Watford. One of the good things we have in Watford are fantastic citizens advice bureau, food banks that do great work, lots of faith groups that are involved. So I chair our cost of living forum, and that brings together lots of these groups that are right there on the front line supporting people. Of course, we're making sure that there's funding available, that we're able to support our citizens advice and other groups in the town. So there is a lot of excellent work happening, but I'm under no illusions that they're under big pressures. I went to the Trussell Trust Food Bank in Watford a couple of weeks ago, and they were saying how if you look at how much donations they get of food, people are really generous. They get lots of donations, but they need about twice as much food compared to the amount of donations they get. So then they're buying a lot of food these days to kind of top up what they get through donations in order to give to people that are struggling. So there is a lot of work. The climate emergency, again, we take our responsibilities really seriously. So we declared a climate emergency in 2019, doing our best to reduce our carbon emissions, both as a council and across the town. Lots of work happening here at the town hall, for example. So we've got hundreds of solar panels on the town hall roof. We've made our building better insulated. It means that we save about £300,000 a year in reduced energy bills just in the town hall itself. So there is always a financial benefit. We're doing lots with the Solar Together scheme right across Hertfordshire, making it cheaper for residents to buy solar panels by bulk buying them. We're the first district council anywhere in the country to have a bike share scheme, the first council anywhere in the country to have electric bikes as part of that, and they've proved really popular, about 3,000 journeys a week on our bikes. So planting 20,000 trees, cleaning up the River Colne. So I think we're doing a lot. I'm always going to be biased and saying we're doing good. There's obviously more we can always do. There was a scorecard produced recently for councils to see how they were doing in this, and of all the district councils we were in the top 20, so that's out of a couple of hundred. So I think we are not just talking the talk, we're actually delivering on lots of these things as well. Yeah, so lots of councils are struggling financially. The Local Government Association says that there's a £4 billion shortfall in council funding across the whole country, and you've got councils declaring themselves bankrupt, places like Woking and recently Birmingham, the biggest council in the country, saying that they're bankrupt. So council finances are under big pressure. We've had many, many years of running the council finances really well. We get more income from commercial property than from council tax, for example, which is important. The shortfall, a lot of it was down to cost pressures. So, of course, we've got high inflation. Inflation's remained high. Interest rates are high, so any borrowing costs go up. Council officers' pay has gone up, rightly, because everything else is going up. But that, of course, then impacts on our finances as well. So we've had a combination of things that have had an impact, but of course we're taking steps to address that. You mentioned things like fees and charges. In a situation where people's wages are going up and the cost of administering these services going up, then we've got to increase them in line with inflation. We're not increasing them by more than inflation, but we're saying things are going up, it's getting more expensive to deliver these things, so therefore we're increasing the price of them. But it's not an easy thing to do, and we're trying to make sure that it's done as fairly as possible. From my perspective, one of the important things is that you protect those people on the lowest incomes as well, so making sure that people who are struggling are still getting the support that they need, people that are working but on low income. So for example, council tax, we've always had a scheme that the lowest income households have a reduction in council tax. Some people pay no council tax if they're in difficult financial situations. So we're continuing to do things like that to help those people, as I say, who are working but often on low incomes as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'd say that I think entertainment venues are really crucial to the town. Obviously, they bring jobs, but they bring people together. They're really important for people's mental health or their well-being. So really keen to support the town centre. What we're seeing is people's behaviours have changed. So when I was a teenager, many decades ago, people went clubbing on a Friday and Saturday night. People probably drank far too much, many people. But that was just kind of the culture and the expectation. I think that if you talk to a lot of young people these days, They might go clubbing, they might not. They might rather go to the cinema, do other, watch stuff on Netflix at home or whatever it is. And so there's a different kind of behaviours change, and so we've got to respond to that. I think it's really important that we've got a cinema in the town centre, a bowling alley, climbing wall, putt shack, you can throw axes and all the rest of it. All the different activities that are available in the town centre are really important, because that's what brings people into our town centre. On the two locations you said, it's important to remember for Prism nightclub, there was a planning application, you're right, a few months ago. The council rejected that planning application, but the landowner there wants to develop that site. And so landowners have the right to do that. What we've said in our local plan is that we want to make sure that that area becomes not just residential, but there's also things for the community, so that the ground floor has shops or cafes and things that bring people into the town centre, also bring people together. So we'll wait and see what comes forward from the developer. We've not had a planning application yet, but they've obviously served notice because Prism are their tenant. On the Horns, what I want to see happen is that to remain a music venue. So of course it's owned by one of the breweries. The current landladies there are leaving, but it might well be that other people come along and choose to run that pub. That'll be a decision for the brewer that runs that pub. But what I would hope to happen is that somebody else runs that venue and that it's a successful music venue as well. I know that there are other venues in the town that are doing really well, and I was at on St Albans Road, the Dunnings pub, a couple of weeks ago. They've just opened up some fantastic new bedrooms above the pub, but they have live music. I think it's 3 or 4 days a week, bringing lots of people, really vibrant, really doing well. So it shows that these places can succeed. It's not easy at all, but I think it is possible to have a successful pub in the town, and hopefully someone can come along and run the Horns and it do well again. Yeah, so I have regular discussions with Arriva, and it's one of those issues that I get a lot of emails about and residents raising with me. From my perspective, the crucial thing actually is that our bus system in Hertfordshire doesn't work. So if you look at London, you've got Transport for London. They effectively run the buses in London. They can decide the price, the frequency, the routes. They've got a lot of control. In Hertfordshire, we have private companies like Arriva, who obviously they're private companies. They're trying to make profit. And I think actually we need a system similar to what we have in London. We've seen other parts of the country in the last few weeks. Manchester have moved back to that model, franchised model that they have in London, with Andy Burnham there saying that's the way that they're going to do it. And I think in Hertfordshire we need to be looking at that as well, because whenever you have a system where it's a private company just choosing, they're going to cherry pick the most profitable routes. They're going to look to cut back on the quality, all the rest of it. And I think buses are really important. We talked before about the climate emergency. If we want people to choose public transport rather than a car, then you've got to have good alternatives for them. And at the moment, I'd say that our bus services aren't good enough. And so I'm saying across Hertfordshire, when we're meeting as council leaders in Hertfordshire, I want us to look at how can we actually have more control over buses, have a proper system where we're able to control the price, quality, the frequency, and have services that residents, a standard that they should expect. There are lots of big projects the council are looking to deliver. So although we've got a difficult financial, situation, I was elected on a clear manifesto in 2022 to deliver a number of things. And next year, part of the job will be making sure that those things happen. So number one will be the Coliseum reopening next year. We've got a fantastic new operator, AEG, who operate the O2 and other big venues across the town, across the country, across the world, in fact. I think when AEG start operating from the Coliseum, what we'll see is, fantastic acts, more use of that. It's really important for bars and restaurants in the town centre, for hotels and everything else. So I think that'll be really positive, and making sure that we open the Coliseum and that goes well. next year will be important. There'll also be the process of working on our new museum, which is coming to this part of the town centre, making sure we've got a really interactive, fantastic museum. The plan is for that to open the following year in 2025, but during 24, being out there in the community, the museum on tour. And so there'll be that, plus supporting our community groups. We've got the neighbourhood fund, for example, which is about giving money to local groups to help them to, to really serve the community. Over the last year, we've given money to groups like the Random Cafe, who do great work in the Meriden, the Pump House, fantastic group. And so how do we support those groups? Because I think community groups are really important when it comes to responding to the cost of living, but also for people's mental health and well-being. So working closely with them as well.